Hello, everyone, and welcome to Osquery Office Hours. It's still January, still 2023. I hope the beginning of the year has gone well for folks. Announcements and highlights since the last meeting. I think maybe we updated the website to declare 570 stable. I think Zach did that since the last one, so thank you, Zach. Okay. Yeah, probably the only announcement I've got that's gone by. Anyone else?
Yeah, thanks for helping with that, Seth.
Next up, questions, issues, PRs anyone wants to discuss. Intent of this section is to have a bit of an open section for people who might be dropping into the meeting. I suspect none of us are going to raise our hands, but I'll pause a moment. And yeah, agenda stuff. I don't know if anyone's got anything to say.
I don't really have an agenda item, but I know I missed the last one. We chatted about dropping CentOS 6. I kind of want to have a similar discussion on dropping Mojave, because it's kind of getting harder and harder to implement new endpoint security stuff with weak linking that framework and symbols not being present. There's some cool new stuff in Ventura, so I mean, ideally, I would want to drop it and move on from ease of development perspective, and also Apple has stopped providing any security updates as far as I know.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I can tell you that I have a Mojave device, but I keep it around mostly to make trouble. So let's see. When was Mojave deprecated? Mojave's last release was July 2021. How much of an impact, how much of an impact to the endpoint security stuff is it?
I think it can still, with some effort, we can still make it work, but I haven't delved into it too deeply lately. I also know that we don't really build on Mojave. We don't run tests on Mojave. Even our GitHub action runners are not on Mojave. So and I no longer have a VM that I can boot. I'm sure with enough effort, I can probably get a installer to bypass the signing and get a VM going. So I don't even know if the newer stuff would break on Mojave, with symbols not present kind of, and just crash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's also 4 versions of macOS since Mojave,
Mm-hmm.
and with it being out of security updates, it makes total sense to me to remove support.
It doesn't seem wrong to me. I'm trying to see what I have in our customer base. If anyone's actually using Mojave.
And yeah, the intent is to just start a conversation and to eventually get this done in the next couple of Osquery releases if we can. The intent is not to just drop it today, right here, right now.
I mean, it's what we've done with every other Mac OS. We have generally tried to maintain a long tail, but I feel like dropping Mac OS things has not been very contentious. So I'm just trying to see what I've got in my world. I assume you have a sense of what your customer base is like. And you probably wouldn't propose this if you had a notable number of Windows customers.
I can say that we don't really know the Mac OS versions because we don't get our customer devices checking in to our servers.
Could record it from your update server.
Well, they don't. They just make static file requests to the update server, so we don't get it there either. In theory, we probably could, but it's not something that we do.
I'm sort of just checking to see if I happen to have a Heroku data clip handy. Otherwise, I'll have to actually write one, and that's always a pain in the neck. I am certainly amenable to starting this conversation. I do not have information offhand about the state of this, but it feels like it should generally be a safe to do thing. It's kind of my sense.
Cool.
I'll try and look that up. Cool. I would raise a crash I got in Osquery the other day, or one of our customers got, so I can't reproduce it directly. I filed this as 7906, but I'm not real sure how to approach fixing that.
Are you gonna share the crash details?
Is in the ticket.
Oh, okay. What's the ticket number?
Yeah.
I'm in 906. Selecting from account policy data crashed. And, we can probably catch the exception. Stefano was sort of muttering about how to do that in this ticket, but I don't know how to read the stack trace well enough to like quickly narrow down exactly why or where this is crashing. So I was hoping someone else could point me at that or something.
Seems like Objective-C to C++ bridge, somewhere in the CF bridge.
Could be some problem with the Unicode conversion, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure what exactly that unrecognized selector sent to instance means. Yeah. If that's related to the.
That's the Objective-C message passing sent to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like underneath it is calling CS string create from external representation. So, I mean, Unicode could be a likely thing, or
could it just also not be there, like a null pointer kind of thing? Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure when the NS invalid argument exception could be launched, but maybe it's a. Yeah, maybe it's a string that's not there actually. Yeah. So.
Well, I like Stefano's idea to add a handler for NS exception, since that doesn't inherit from standard exception.
Yeah, it seems like an obvious thing we should do. And maybe just missed as an oversight in 6689 when that merged. But that won't really fix the the real problem.
Yeah.
This reproduces, but only on that one machine?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, maybe on other ones, but only one person's ever talked to me about it.
Which makes like I thought about something about conversion, Unicode, etc. Because if it was more, like if it was present everywhere, then it meant like the usage was clearly of those API were clearly wrong. And so what can be specific about that, so that the string is not there, or the string contains a value that it's not handled correctly?
Yeah, it could be also like like you said, the system encoding to be set to something other than default on macOS, kind of like the locale.
No, it might also be like corrupt data somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I don't know. I feel a little bit. It's not a very big bit of code, but I still feel somewhat lost trying to tell where, like, how to improve our debugging around it or anything like that.
It's also using Open Directory, which hasn't seen any updates in a while. It could be also like it's trying to like decode like a attribute in Open Directory, which doesn't exist in Ventura.
Could it also be that it's not a string? And because I mean, I noticed this on another API, the IOKit one, that sometimes, yeah, the type changes even with this for the same key. So I don't know.
I don't know if I'm reading that incorrectly, but is it saying that there's no bytes method on that NSCF string object? Because I just looked at NS string and CF string, and neither one has a bytes method.
This is most likely like it's trying to send a message to either like a Objective-C object or C++ object, which is like previously released or free, and it doesn't exist. Usually that's what the message is, like unrecognized selector sent to instance.
Hmm. Oh, it's not sending the bytes method to an NSCF string. It's the byte, this bytes method it's trying to call, it has a return type of NSCF string. Is that what that syntax means?
Yep.
Hmm.
Well, may not be a whole lot to talk about, but yeah, it feels kind of weird. Other things people would like to talk about?
Have you seen the messages we got in the CentOS 6 ticket we opened about dropping the old version?
I'm looking for that right now.
This one.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to sort of read it aloud, someone commented that RHEL 610 is still in extended life support. And they hope that we don't mean RHEL 610. I'm fairly certain that we do mean RHEL 610 and the entire RHEL and CentOS 6 family.
Yep.
It's not clear to me that this person's comments fundamentally change our stance, right? Because our stance is that the world has really moved on, and
Yeah.
so must we.
Yeah, I just wanted to, check.
I'm in agreement there. Like, yeah, they have some good points, and I understand they're in a tough position there probably with their RHEL 610, but they can keep using an older version of Osquery. They can backport any fixes that they think are important enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
sorry, go
I think
ahead.
that's basically what Alessandro said there. So
Yeah, it seems to be Microsoft. I wonder if they are going to
Sophos,
reach
I think.
out, I believe, if they actually need official support. I hope.
Oh, because the last two letters of the username are MS. That's why you think it's Microsoft. Yeah.
One of them actually has Microsoft as in the profile.
Oh, Ben H.
yeah,
MS.
Ben works for Microsoft, but I do not know the Neil commenter.
I mean, certainly they can, if they're Microsoft, they definitely have the resources to make their own builds if they need to backport fixes or that kind of thing, or they could pony up to support the project.
We talked about that a little bit. It's not clear that we Osquery want to be supporting RHEL 6 at this point. Even for money, right? When we talked about this, it sounded like there may be entities that would support it, but we probably would not want it under the Osquery umbrella.
Or not. I mean, if it's something that someone could take care of, like if it's something that Trilobits wanted to take on and take care of and keep it under the main Osquery as some sort of branch or something like that.
Yeah, they said no.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's something that Microsoft wanted to do or hire contractors to do or that kind of thing, like that would be okay with me as well. Like, but I think it's really the main line of Osquery that needs to move forward. That's where the issue is.
Yeah, I mean, to repeat what I interpreted from the Trail of Bits people last meeting. They would probably be happy to be paid to do the work, but they wouldn't want to put it under the Osquery umbrella. So, right hand,
Sure.
left hand things, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it also gives the incorrect message on who is actually supporting it and how many available hands there are, etc. It's already sometimes confusing for upstream, so yeah.
I sort of feel like this feels like it bumps into a bit of like a repeated problem we have around how our bill, we don't really support underlying OS libraries, right? We're sort of like this fully, like we ship our whole library set, link it statically, and then we're done. So a lot of the traditional things where you're like, well, can I just build it on my platform here using native libraries, which are maintained? We're like, no, that's not how our builds work. So there feels like there's a bit of a tension there where, it's just a little misinterpreted by, it's different than most people would expect from, open source software. I think that probably creates some friction. Right, because from our perspective, we want to upgrade librpm, lib IP tables, whatever else, deal with newer kernel headers and our builds. And there is no way to be like, well, you can just build it on CentOS 6 without any of that. So.
Yeah, And to say, to repeat there, the reason is because having to support all the different platforms, or even if we said, okay, our target platform are these ones, but then people mostly use our project on different platforms with system libraries, then the amount of issues that come in because the specific version of that library is not compatible with what we tested against. Yeah, it adds really a lot of work, and it's kind of already the issue that other projects have, or the fact that there's no way any developer actually develops for all the platforms. It can, like, they try, but they all rely on the interface stability and implementation stability of the library they use. And in the end, it's actually not enough. And so it's still, it creates a lot of issues that are specific to the libraries, the specific version of library that's being used.
Yeah.
And in some cases, simply we really need to patch some libraries, otherwise they do not work how we want.
Yeah.
At all. So yeah.
Well, seems reasonable enough to move on. Alessandro, do you feel like you need someone else to weigh in on that ticket, or?
No, I just wanted to draw some attention to it, as I actually didn't know if my personal opinion actually aligned to everyone else.
I think so. Yeah, I think we are all in alignment. People want to talk about PRs? People want to get out of here half an hour early?
I really have the BPF one, and apologize. This time is on me. I still have to revisit.
I think we are excited to merge it whenever you're ready.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Stefano had some pull requests. We just finished with the libraries, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't have like many PRs waiting. Right now, the only couple that are there are about dbus and updating dbus and updating util Linux to, let's say, remove the last CVEs.
Happy to give that one a pretty quick review. The dbus one looks fine. Yeah, where else are we on these things? There's a PR up from Artemist. There's a kernel keys table. That's kind of exciting. Maybe review that one.
I think the one from Artemis is about the systemd policy enable or
There may be more than one. Or there's
enable?
more than one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enablement status column. Looked like it maybe had some discussion. I'm just kind of going down the top of these. What there was some odd discussion about the name of this column. Y'all should decide on that, I guess.
You're talking about the systemd one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess systemd has some various somewhat precise names for some of these things, and I'm personally not very attached to any of it, but we should just make sure that the name accurately represents what we're checking.
I am not spun up on systemd anymore. See you, Charbel. See.
So, well, for that one, I suggested, I'm not sure why, I mean, if there was a specific reason why, like, just calling it completely like unit file state, since the parameter, the property is called unit file state, since there is a difference between the unit and the unit file, we can just call it, I guess, unit file state. I don't think there is any issue with multi-word columns.
I mean, it's currently called enablement state, so it's already a multi-word column.
Yeah, I mean, more than two, like. So.
I think I'm re-looking at that. That makes sense to me. Unit file state, like, because I guess Artemis's comment was that unit state is not appropriate because of the difference between unit files and units, but the unit file state seems to address that to me.
Yeah, it basically matches the original property. So if one is used to know that value as unit file state in systemd, then you find it.
That's a great point. Artemis is on vacation this week, so I might just push up that change, or maybe one of us can push up that change and get this PR merged.
I mean, this PR looks trivial apart from us all arguing about the name, so it should be. Hopefully, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, 78, 76, I think maybe could be pretty interesting if someone wants to review that. I might be able to. Looks like mostly C code. But kernel keys is a bit of visibility we don't have into the Linux machines, so it's always exciting.
All right, I can approve that and merge it now, Zeph.
Which one?
The unit file.
We got to wait for
Yeah.
CI, but I
Oh, we gotta wait for CI. Okay,
yeah, I just updated it and,
I can
approved it.
approve it at least.
Yeah. So when CI is happy, we can merge it.
Updated the title as well to match.
Is the record and send statistics for distributed queries, is that ready, or does that want to wait for Artemis to come back?
I think that's ready. It looks like both Stefano and Seth, you both seem to be satisfied. I believe it's ready.
I didn't have much to say about it, so Stefano's good. I was mostly wondering the mechanics of how that moved, but I didn't, really review it very carefully. Stefano, were you happy with this?
I think so. I haven't this one. I haven't not tried. I know it's different. Comes different from the Osquery schedule one, where we have a table. Here we are sending back the information to the to the endpoint. So
In my eyes, it makes sense. It makes sense to do it that way because that's where you'd want to be processing it. And there's not, and in theory, in theory, we could add an option to Osquery to put the performance information out with each scheduled query log. But I think that the being able to schedule a query or do a live query against the Osquery schedule table has been sufficient for most folks' use cases.
I could argue either way. I think live queries are frequently ad hoc and thus always changing. So if they're always changing, having a table that just is, effectively a write once table doesn't feel like a big win.
Yeah.
But there are also times when they are consistent and you could name them appropriately. And I don't know, I'm fine with this as an ideology. We can try it.
Agreed. We certainly do both. We certainly do both.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, it feels like a good balance for now.
So I don't know, Stefano, if you're happy, then, I don't know if we need to test it. Like some of these, I feel okay being like, we can merge it and it'll get tested. And, I'm pretty confident Fleet will test it as soon as we merge it, and then we can fix it or back it out if there's an issue.
Yeah, and Artemis tested it. Artemis should have tested it. I believe that she did.
Charvel's gone, but I need to pick up. I was investigating changes in the macOS keychain APIs. We're doing real deprecated stuff, so at some point we may basically we don't have good answers here. This is what I can say. Like we are finding all the keychains in the file system, and then we are passing them all to a deprecated API that opens them so that we can enumerate the keys inside them. Apple is removing all of that in favor of saying applications should just say, give me the keys I have access to, which is very runtime context dependent. So
does it possibly make sense for us to rely on the deprecated APIs for as long as we can?
One customer of ours reports crashes.
But only one?
They're uncommon, and there's only one that might be big enough and hammering on that table enough. So it seems likely. And when they reached out to Apple on it, Apple was like, it's a deprecated API. We don't care. No, it's not a crash. It's a corruption. It corrupts the keychain.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah. And like, I don't see anything weird in our code, and Apple's stance seems to be, yeah, we deprecated that API. That API might corrupt things. And I don't know what to say about this. I haven't wanted to make a PR that actually removes all access to that API, because I can't get the data any other way. So it's all a little bit weird. And it feels like, I don't know. My understanding of the keychain is I'm not impressed, let's say. So I don't know. It's a recent-ish PR that I'm ignoring, or draft PR. There's the ETW process events table for Windows. Not quite sure where that is.
Yeah, so on that one, we're waiting for a code review from Nick Thor.
From Nick. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he mentioned last week that either last week or this week, he was going to make a second code review pass. So he already made one where he pointed out some code styling issues. And he also asked for more unit testing and automated testing. So I did that. I included a few tests, integration tests mainly. And also some eventing testing. Yeah, so he is going to make a new code review, and based on his finding, I'm going to probably address those findings along with changing the name of the table, because you asked for that. You asked to change from ETW process event to process event ETW. So I'm going to do that, and yeah, hopefully the PR is going to get merged soon.
Okay, I mean, it looks like Nick's last reviews were pretty positive. So, it doesn't even look like he had any major issues. So I imagine if Nick goes radio silent for a little while, it sounds like any C++ person can probably sign off.
Yeah, we already got one review from a guy who is new to the Osquery code base. He was looking to push a similar PR on the ETW side. So we got that one. Zach is going to review the code also. So yeah, let's see what Nick came. Let's see if Nick found any major issue, and we can go from there. I think his main concern was that the code was pretty big, because I ended up including not only this new table, but also the new tracing framework that will allow us to create ETW-based tables in a really easy fashion in the future. So he was a bit concerned about the size of things to review, and yeah, he wanted to make a second pass to make sure that he was not missing anything.
Okay, well, nice.
I should have probably added a comment on there. I was wondering, I just quickly looked at it in the past. So the only thing it standing out for me was the use of these hand-rolled concurrent queue for the the concurrent queue for the events. I was wondering, why not using something like a queue that is in Boost that should also actually be lockless, but at the same time, have you done some benchmarking on that? Because I wonder if it is if many events are passing through that queue, the locking or even the atomics might cause high CPU usage on high contention. So, for instance, something we do for audit is that instead of having a global shared queue, you have a queue. So each thread writes in its own internal queue, and then you either swap pointers basically, so that the next stage can use the queue without anything else writing on it. So basically, you use two queues technically.
Yeah, so I included a test to benchmark, I mean, not to benchmark the queue, but to ensure that it was behaving well from the functionality point of view. I can probably add some benchmark there to just to make sure that the CPU usage doesn't go up like crazy. I can look into that for sure. And regarding the post log list queue, so there was I mean, I need to go back to this, but there were two issues from what I can remember. The first one was that the types that have to be used in that queue, there was a copy operation that had to be involved because it doesn't support default. It only supports default constructors. So that was one of the issues. There was another issue. Okay, I don't remember this one, but I can look into this and maybe I can share it offline. Yeah, there were two issues that basically restricted me from using this log list queue.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. And by the way, yeah, I'm open to I mean, look into alternatives for this concurrent queue. This is something that I ended up implementing and didn't even know if I put it as a kind of a common container for, to be available for different things. So I ended up just putting it as a, container specialized for this ETW events type. So yeah, maybe I can also move it to this common utils that we have in Osquery.
Other PRs people want to talk about?
I should make a comment on the container the events one. That was like, I wanted to write a comment. It was a bit long. I think it's maybe quicker to explain. So I think the issue I find there, and actually it was one of the main reasons we originally didn't propose that code upstream, was the need of using the original library build system, which does not permit us to have to do what we do with all the other libraries. We have close control of the flags that are used to build, and there's also no guarantee that their build system, how it is written, will always work. And since it's pretty big, having to suddenly fix that, have to resolve the issue by, for instance, porting or rewriting those build system how we do for the other libraries, it's a big of a task. So I'm not I think if we want to merge these and accept this, we want to have the rewrite of the build system of each piece. But at the same time, I know it's pretty big. It's a big work, and also adds a lot of maintenance. So because unfortunately it uses a lot of libraries between gRPC, between Upsail, protobuf.
And your concern is that
So-
if we use the build system that they have, then they might make some updates to that will then break sort of the way that we integrate it.
Yeah, not only that, already we do not have the control to build every library in that project, because we only see the top view and only the targets that like we know of. So the thing is that we have to treat that build system as a black box, and only like the top level target. So for instance, I'm specifically referring to gRPC. So only the gRPC target, we can maybe add flags, compilation flags, change things about the compilation of that, but that itself is the problem, because it's actually that is a big project composed by other libraries that we are building. So like again, Upsail, protobuf, another one which I don't recall the name, and so yeah, for all the other libraries, we spent really a lot of time to have control on what we were building, what flags we were giving, etc. This would be like a pretty big step back in that sense, especially because there is a lot of work to do to transform that logic. And so yeah, for instance, we use flags to harden what we build. And the fact that we are using our own custom written build system on top lets us actually pass those flags on all the targets that are used to build the library or all the source files, while using often using a build system from another library doesn't let you do that, unfortunately.
Okay, so we would have to get the kind of the whole build for the containerd library rewritten into CMake for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's already in CMake, but yes, it has to be basically slimmed down and only the parts we are interested in, and it has to be surfaced on the root. I forgot another thing. We also do not, like how it is currently organized, we do not see them as submodules. Like the gRPC is bringing in protobuf, it's bringing in Upsail, etc. We are not seeing them as library in Osquery in the script that scans for CVs. That's another issue. For the for that script to work, we have to bring all the libraries we are using at the top level, basically. So we have to clone.
In theory, that should be able to work, but then you'll just have to rewrite the way that those are being found in the build for the containerd stuff or something.
It should be, but the problem is that it's the problem with that is that then we don't know necessarily what we use and what we don't, because we are still cloning, like we are only cloning the top level only, and that maybe is also cloning everything else, but we are only using some of those and some of those submodules in the project, and we are not interested in those other submodules.
I feel like
which is why, for instance, for OGS, which uses GNU-lib internally, we actually have like GNU-lib is, although it's under the OGS folder, it's considered like a separate submodule, which we have a. Sorry, I'm trying to find the word. We have a CMake specification. That's not exactly the name, but we are saying, yeah, there is a submodule. It's named GNU-lib. Please clone it as shallow, and this is linked it to you.
So we talked about this a little bit a while ago, I think, too, like before all of this work got started. And I don't remember what conclusions, if any, there were. There was just, I remember discussion about the difficulty of bringing in gRPC.
Yeah, to be fair, on those discussion, at least personally, I had not considered, fully considered the compiler flags issue and also the CVE tracking issue. So yeah, anyway, in this folder where we have all the, let me link it to you. We have all those find library name, etc. .cmake there. Those are the files we use to let CMake know of the existence of that submodule and that it has to be cloned. And so even if there is a single find OGS.cmake table file internally, you can see we are calling 2 times import source submodule that simply says, again, please clone that submodule and add it to the list of existing submodules. And yeah. The other, sorry, forgot the third thing, which is still connected, well, sort of with flags, but more with what the build system is bringing in, is that while with running their build system might add or make checks that behave differently depending on where they run. So again, the other reason why we rewrote we wrote all the build systems for the libraries is to make it static, so that we configure it on the oldest version, we freeze that configuration, and then that configuration is used everywhere. If instead we have something that is configuring every time we build, then it is basing its configuration on the system it's building on and not on the system we want to target.
It's that aforementioned mismatch between how we think about our libraries and how most of the world treats libraries. I don't have anything particularly interesting to say about libraries other than to recognize that there's sort of that mismatch, and I don't know what the right approach is. But I do have a stop at 2 p.m. today, so I have to vanish right soon.
I mean, I think that I can when Artemis gets back from vacation, I can check in with her about whether she thinks she could do the CMake conversions to integrate it into the build system, and we could kind of go from there.
Is that so? While I imagine we could convert gRPC to CMake, I also imagine that is a tremendous amount of effort, and in like 3 days, Google will release, another version of it that completely upends all of our work. So I hate suggesting that someone go down that route. So I don't know what feels stable to like us, and I just don't understand the option space and what doesn't feel like shifting sands.
Yeah, I mean, my priority is just getting the functionality into Osquery, so I'm interested in pursuing any path. But I feel like Osquery is already well behind in terms of support for containers, and getting some of this fundamental kind of stuff in seems important.
Yeah, we feel like we're in a bit of a corner. I feel like we've painted ourselves into a little bit of a corner with the way our builds work. That's not to say it's the wrong choice, just that we're in a little bit of a corner.
Yeah, the problem is the maintenance of actively. Oh, weird. Yeah, the maintenance of those libraries, all the libraries, and like if we had some additional helping hand on that, then yeah.
Well, I mean, there's a little bit of help there. Artemis did the work.
No, I mean on the maintenance side.
What I don't like. My CMake skills are very limited, so I don't have a great sense of what the maintenance looks like. Is it that Google will change the way that they do the builds for gRPC, and then we'll have to sort of redo the similar changes in our port of that build system, or?
So I think I'm missing the so this is after, you mean after the build system rewrite, or
After,
the issue
yeah.
with keeping? Oh, well, yeah. Every time we have to update, if we have to update any of the libraries, obviously we have to go look again at the original. Like we have to configure them on the CentOS 6, or well, from now on CentOS 7. We have to use their new build systems, check if there is any difference, and that we have to port. And that again can happen either because there is a CVE, or because I'm not even sure what's the guaranteed backward compatibility, or if there is any. So what's the range of containerd versions that a single gRPC library version can support? That's another thing. And yeah, it's another thing that I did not test when we were writing that. We were targeting a specific version.
I have to drop. Y'all are welcome to keep discussing this. Anything that feels relevant, please add to the minutes.
I also have to drop, but I think, I mean, that makes sense what you're saying, Stefano.
I mean, we can say that the functionality doesn't work for some version and back. Might make sense. Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Oh, that since that logic is mainly connected to flags and tables, if no one uses those tables, like there shouldn't be an issue. Like we shouldn't be technically we shouldn't be concerned on the fact that maybe it doesn't work anymore on CentOS 7. Like if we say yes, we have this functionality, but it won't work on those platforms,
I see.
or those versions of platforms. So yeah,
I see. Yeah, I mean would be fine with me.
that's similar to what we do with BPF. Like BPF doesn't work on CentOS 6. So
yeah. All right, I gotta go, y'all. Thank you.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.